Ask them for coach.
Please.
Hey, Coach. I'm wondering, coming off the last, how much was ball security best? I know you guys didn't turn it over, but obviously the ball hit the ground a few times, and then there were almost a couple interceptions.
Did anybody get that?
No,
yeah,
Scott,
we
you're
none of us
cutting out a
got
little
that.
bit.
Can you hear me? Trying
Yes.
again here?
You're good.
Okay. I'm wondering, coming off the last game, how much was ball security stressed? You didn't have any turnovers, but you did have a couple fumbles and a couple balls that were almost picked.
We had a ball or two on the ground, and we actually recovered and then gave it back to him. But it's been stressed and continues to be stressed. We do center quarterback exchange every day, and we start the practice with it. So I think there's a point in time where you don't overstress it, but I think it's fundamental that in every practice that you take care of the important things, and that's also the most important thing of the day.
Les, going back over the game film, what did you think about the offensive line? How did they grade out?
Well, they graded out, two guys graded out really, really well. Three lads, not as much. But I can tell you that there's a team that wants to play better. And as long as that's the case, that offensive line will be better than it was. And I like us. And so I get it. We'd like to be able to just today. I haven't seen them yet, but we'd like to be able to go. Okay, now I know exactly what you're supposed to do. I've told you, and I've told you, and I've told you, and it does you no good. And the reason is because it's receptivity. In other words, I want to be receptive. I want to create a dialogue. I want to be able to communicate, and I think these guys are looking forward to playing better.
And then on the depth chart, I noticed that you got 3 quarterbacks listed. How do you go about during the week getting all 3 of them reps to find out who can win the job or play or start that game?
I think you start with a priority quarterback and a guy that takes reps initially, maybe even more team reps than the other 2. And then the next group, quarterback period would step in, and then there would be a possibility of a third quarterback, and he would step in. So, and we hope that at this point in time that Thomas Habidi is still healthy or is becoming healthy.
Hey, is Thomas going to be practicing this week, or has that not been figured out yet?
Yeah, we see him practicing this week.
Did he hurt his throwing shoulder in the opener?
I do not know. I do know. I'm being deceptive, but I'm being honest. And but I believe that his shoulder will be fine.
So if he's healthy this week, would you plan on playing him and Jalen Daniels?
After a good practice week and something that benefited him, absolutely.
Hey, I wanted to kind of go back to those special teams touchdowns you guys gave up. When you watched that video, what did you see on those plays in particular, as far as maybe some miscues or some things you guys need to improve upon?
We knew exactly where they were going to run that football. We felt very comfortable with the way we were going to cover the ball. We had a lad that did not pursue in the order or the fashion that we suggested all week long. And we looked forward to him in pursuit. It didn't work out. He didn't get there. He did not understand the angle of departure, and that's our fault because we need to coach him better.
Les, on the topic of the offensive line, I wanted to take you back to that safety that you guys gave up. I think you had 7 blockers in against 4 pass rushers. So what kind of went wrong there?
frankly, I don't know that I have immediate recall on that. So I'll get me on Tuesday on that one. Okay.
Les, how would you evaluate how Puka Williams has performed at this point in the season? Puka Williams.
How's he's performed to this part of the season?
Yeah.
I see Puka getting better and better. One thing about Puka, he's got leadership abilities, and he is one of the more natural runners that I have ever seen. So a Hall of Famer from the state of Louisiana, which produces great, very, very special running backs. And I just want you to know, I think he'll finish this year in a great position. So we like him. Let me tell you what he did at about 2:00 in the morning. He was looking over his head coach's shoulder and watching the game on the computer that we had set up on my seat headed back to Kansas. And he talked about Jalen Daniels, and he talked about the line, and he talked about and how it was all going to come together. And in my opinion, he's dead right. So,
Are you satisfied with his workload to this point, or are you going to maybe look to get him more touches going forward?
I'd like to get him a few more touches, to be honest with you, but the idea that the ball, and there's only one of them, we would like to get it around, pretty regularly to the other spots. We like some of the other options that we have to get the ball to them. So, but keeping Puka fresh is also a key piece.
Coach Miles, outside of that one Velton Gardner run in week 1, producing really explosive plays for scores has been kind of a challenge. So moving forward, what kind of things have you noticed? What's been keeping those explosive plays from happening?
You would think then that the offensive line would be encouraged to be to finish, because that would be the most. I mean, those guys that don't get explosive runs means that they generally have had no backfield, downfield help. It's not necessarily the offensive line, but it's somebody has got to, whether it would be a tight end or a receiver, would have to carry some downfield blocking so that the explosiveness could have an opportunity to have some room to progress.
And another part of that, of course, Andrew Parchman is a big part of this offense, but so far through 2 games, he's only averaging about 7.5 yards a catch, definitely down from last year where he was about 12 or close to 13. So what's keeping Andrew from getting back to that big play mentality or ability?
I don't think that there's anything keeping him back. I think that as the season matures, I think his catches will be up, and his big plays will be up as well. So, that's kind of how I see it.
Hey, Coach.
How was Stephon Robinson holding up? Looked like he might have got banged up a couple times in that game at Baylor.
I think he got a little nick. Nothing serious, thank goodness.
And then what do you need out of him? I mean, you were just talking about Parchman. Robinson's another guy that could be kind of a deep threat to stretch the defense and that type of thing.
We do not want him to leave the field. We'd love to have him in special teams right on through. But there is also an issue there with keeping him fresh and his legs ready to play, so that he can step into the field and do some of those things that we've seen so many times from Steph.
Hey, Coach, the defense hasn't had a chance to record a takeaway this season. Why do you, at least from what you've seen, why do you feel that that is? And what has the coaching staff been emphasizing moving forward?
I want you to know something. We play, we have several times during the week where we go 2-minute drill. And they've had a number of great opportunities to make some plays there and have. And if given the opportunity, I think you'll find that this group will the motivation is being taught, the technical, how you approach the ball and how the first guy in hits, and we do it every day. It's the first piece of special teams that goes onto the field in an individual basis is done specifically ball security.
And then you got the team has Chuba Hubbard coming up this week. He's obviously one of the better running backs in the country. What does he do that makes him so tough to defend on a week-to-week basis?
Is he talking about Puka?
He said Chuba.
Chuba. He is a explosive, big, physical guy, and tremendous running back. So, what makes him? He's got good vision. He'll make a cut and make you miss. So, yeah, that would set him apart in my opinion, and combine all that with really quality speed.
What are your biggest concerns with the defense right now?
Defense. I know what did he say before?
Biggest concerns.
Biggest
on our
concern.
defense.
Our guys are getting healthy. I don't have a concern of health. It appears that we'll be taking the field with a pretty good character, good group, and I think this, as this continues, I think we'll continue to build, but we've had. I think we're starting in the low teens and or playing in the low teens a number of young secondary backs. And so the Kron Prutney would be an example of that. And we see him as being a downfield back, defensive back, and that makes big plays, and those are the kind of guys that we got to have. Offense, defense, special teams, and you just asked about defense.
What can you make as a whole with the younger secondary with guys such as Brittany and then also Kenny Logan?
Well, and I couldn't quite hear you, so but I will suggest that when you bring in young guys and here's the piece that they can have. They can be like Pat Peterson or Kron Prutney, in my opinion, that really is physically capable, fast, strong. What they have to understand is, generally speaking, they handle man-to-man extremely well. What they have to work to be best at is zone coverage. So, and I think our coaches know that and are really, addressing those needs.
Hey, when you watched the film of Jalen Daniels from this weekend, were there any areas where you saw him struggling a little bit just because, he's a young guy in his first start?
I think at times that he'd pull the ball down and give himself some room to make a down-the-field throw. If we'd hit a couple of those down-the-field throws, so that would have made a tremendous difference. But, he didn't, and so I think the opportunity for him to put himself in a position to make some of those plays that we've seen in our indoor facility and not necessarily in the stadium, and see how he comes together. here's what he has. He's got leadership. He is one of the team favorites, and I just think that I think we're on the right path with him, not only in what would be this Saturday, but as we go forward in what his future would be like here. I think it would be very bright.
2 more questions for Coach.
Yeah, following up on that, how can a game experience like you gave him against Baylor, how can that help a guy like Jalen later in his career?
Later in his career?
Yeah, how can that early experience help?
Well, what you have to understand about that position is you manage the ball at times, and you give it touch, and you give it the rocket, and but I think he's learning that opportunity. One, in terms of reading the field, and two, making the style of throw that he needs to make for the completion, not just roll over here and let that big arm go. And so I think the struggle of what was last Saturday will turn into the opportunity for him to do better and better.
One more question.
Yeah,
you said. Go ahead.
Well, what's it going to feel like for you to see some fans back in the stands in the booth?
Yeah, I can't wait. That'd be to get back at home, and there will be of the 10,000 that they let in. There'll be a number that would like to be in. We welcome you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.